Hello everybody, today we have a new piece of content coming to AFK Journey. If you haven't seen it already, it is basically this new big wolf, and it is really nice because number one, it gives you new rewards, but number two, it's really nice to see everyone kind of together. It's kind of funny. You get to see the people, all the decisive victors, whatever it is, the whales, the newer players, all, kind of in the same area, which is really cool. But let's take a look at the mechanics of the boss, and honestly, the things you have to keep in mind when you're trying to build a team to beat this boss. So first and foremost, let me go through the rewards because that's what you guys are probably really interested in. So first and foremost, in terms of what you gain, depending on if you clear or, when you clear, you gain a different amount of rewards. It's really nice, of course, because these are not just specific to you or even your guild or something like that. This is for your entire server. So assuming that your server is populated enough to beat the wolf, you gain all these different rewards. That includes, again, gems, that includes equipment chests, invite letters, soul stones for imprints, and a pretty cool looking title. But although these are the generally shared rewards that you gain access to, you also have the ranking, which of course looks really cool as well. Now again, the title, or I apologize, the frame that you get, assuming that you clear, is really cool. But also, if you end up being top 1 to 20, not only do you gain more of the Twilight Essences, which you need to upgrade your the EX or the exclusive equipments, you get this handy dandy little title, which is, I think it's permanent. There's no timer on it. If it's only for one time or something like that, that's okay. But this time around, as opposed to being something like 1 to 10, 11 to 20, 21 to 50, top 10%, etc., this time it's 1 to 20, which gives you more opportunities to try and claim it on your server. So keep that in mind. Which is really cool. There's also an internal inscription, I guess, which is going to be like a stone or something that talks about the top 20 players that did the most damage. But of course, that's not what you guys are actually here for. You're probably also here to talk about the mechanics or what teams are really good. So let me really quickly boot open what I was going to show before my thing got one shot. Not my thing. Before my browser closed, actually. Okay, so let's take a look at this really quick. So thankfully, and I appreciate Pridewind for giving a little bit of the data mine skill set and stuff like that, and just a general guide for how the system works. So of course, again, the rewards that you can get are Essence Gold Experience, which is really nice, and then all the other rewards that we talked about. But if we just talk about the actual mechanics of the boss, here's some things that you need to know. So number one, the ultimate is that every 10, 40, and 70 seconds, there's a mist that'll descend on the battlefield that makes the Wolf King invisible, and then it allows him to summon wolf packs that, again, attack your allies. Now, again, he has a chance to dodge through the mist, which is kind of just your sign to hit. Well, it's not even your sign because you can't control the fight, but your allies are going to try to survive, so you do need somewhat of a healer, but, as you see through all the red kind of notifications and the warning, the characters, or the fight itself has been nerfed a decent amount. You definitely can kind of get away without needing too many healers. Even if you read the skills here, again, it reads, what's his skill 1, it says that you charge through the furthest target and you strike, and then it also summons wolves to attack the furthest target when the mist exists. So again, just your kind of generic attacks. And then your second skill is that, or his second skill, is that it deals damage twice to the targets within a 1-tile arc, then deals damage to the enemies within 1 tile and inflicts an interruption effect. Now, again, even with the passive effect, which it says gain stat boost when defeating a non-summoned enemy, all these are very kind of difficult, or it would be kind of concerning if you were losing to the fight or if you were getting one shot by the bosses or by the boss itself. However, just based off of what we've seen in game, the boss itself does not actually do that much damage to you. Now, again, we've kind of seen what the character does or what the boss does in terms of raw skills, and you can kind of see how the performance of people in my server have been doing. But even with these suggestions here with stuff like Vala and Seth and Kruger and things of this nature, one of the healers or one of the compositions or tips that I'd say is most important about this boss is to, again, make sure that you actually have good DPS for this fight as opposed to stacking multiple tanks or multiple healers. Now, for me personally, I've seen a couple people that have run something like a Smokey. I've seen a couple people just run Smokey alongside their Odin or their their Coco, which again is a little bit different than running something like Thorin plus Lucius or Lucius plus Entendre, things of that nature. If you have a really cracked out Temesia, again, you could definitely also use that character not only to take a little bit of aggro, but also because, again, she's melee and she gets to deal a decent amount of damage. If you have Kruger, I would also, again, highly recommend him because you're probably going to be using characters that inflict physical damage, and Kruger reduces the physical defense of the boss. So if you're trying to kind of burst down the boss very quickly, that is something that you could take into consideration. However, and as with the kind of warning PSA that Primal also gave, you gain the most value out of any composition, or you'll likely get the most value out of any specific composition that involves your highest imprints, because long story short, imprints and levels in this game and base stats are much more important in most cases than any of the kits, outside of something where you're trying to do a Brutus cheese or a cheese where a character can kind of just go invincible, or you're kind of using them for one specific scenario where they don't need stats. There are very few scenarios where that even exists. But even with that being the case, I implore you, and although I have been making guides suggesting certain compositions, assuming that you have them, ultimately what you're looking for is really a combination of a good faction bonus or a combination of your highest imprints. Now, again, the stat up here, this little faction bonus, is not for show. Having 409,000 faction bonus does mean that you're pretty tanky, does mean that you're going to have a lot of damage. And of course, although, again, my account is a little bit unrelatable, I apologize. The point being, or the point is that, of course, I'm going to use my highest imprint characters here, specifically because, again, they do the most damage, or I have the most safety. Not only do I prevent myself from getting one-shot by something like the wolves, or like the different attacks that the wolf boss has, I also put out the most damage at the same time. Now, of course, if you want to make use of something like, instead of a 3-2 bonus, and as you guys rightfully mentioned before, a 4-1 bonus, feel free to do so. However, and I should have made this clear in the last video or guide that I had kind of addressed with this, my 4-1 in most cases is not very good. Up until today, I literally didn't even have my Smokey at Mythic. He was just legendary the whole time, which kind of made it really hard to justify picking him. And then furthermore, if I wanted to use any of my other characters, my Odie, literally up until like 5 seconds ago after I'd cleared out a lot of the story, was also just legendary. So both of these bosses, especially in the Dream Realm, were kind of just getting one shot. It kind of sucked. I was kind of just getting beat up, and even if I wanted to use another faction bonus, they would just get exploded. You know, they would just explode or literally implode in 2 seconds. However, something that I do want to point out that's pretty cool, just for a brief reprieve, although there's like a bit of a guide. How cool is it that you get to see some of the other people, you know, in your guild or in your area that are looking at you, you know, compete and fight the boss? Sorry, just wanted to point that out. I think that's kind of cool. Kind of makes you feel a little more homely. And in addition to what I mentioned before about everyone being around the area, this is kind of cool. Maybe it's just random people. I don't really know who these people are. I'm assuming these are other people on the server. But okay. So I will be running my first composition. And based on what I've been told, you don't quite need a whole lot of damage dealers, or I apologize, more supportive characters. I do like Rowan because my Rowan has the ultimate gauge increasing thing, the ultimate increasing bonus that you gain at 131. I apologize, I misspoke. But I don't think I will actually need Thorin. Based on what I've seen, no one has basically taken any damage or nearly enough damage to actually die with Thorin or to need Thorin. So he's kind of a wasted target or a wasted character in this case. However, he does do a decent amount of damage, so if I end up needing to take out Temesia, that may be something that I also do. I'm also thinking about just getting rid of Smokey here and putting in someone like a... maybe like another damage dealer, like maybe Marley or something like that. I still haven't entirely come up with the perfect composition even for myself. And of course, the composition or the best composition for yourself will ultimately come down to how many imprints you have. And based on what I have a lot of tanks, which is good for me, right? Because I want to tank out a lot of the content, and that's normally what you need to progress. I'm going to go a little bit risky here. I'm going to kind of go out on a limb, and I'm going to try and run a double healer composition. Hopefully I don't get one shot, but I could definitely see myself getting one shot just in case if or in the case where I don't have enough damage, I won't be using the imprisonment. However, I will be using the star shard spell. If you don't have the star shard spell, by the way, I highly implore you to either for this boss, be using the enlightening spell, or if you really are ballsy and you're not running a healer at all, consider using the awakening spell. But I think that in most cases at this point, the enlightening spell is going to be your best friend. I'm going to try the star shard spell. Let's see how it goes. Okay, so dealing damage. I mean, yeah, this looks like the boss is level 90 and I'm like level 130, 140. There's the mist here, which is a little bit annoying, but we've got the smoky in the back line. We don't seem to be taking any damage, or nearly as much damage as we could be. Star shard is going out. Yeah, these wolves are doing virtually no damage. I'm not exactly sure how things are scaling. Mr. Carlisle is taking the most damage out of anyone here, but that's because he's a summon. Yeah, long story short, it looks like I could probably get away with not taking a support at all. In that case, it might just be more worth it for me to take someone like the Odie. Actually, wait, my Vala is taking a little bit more damage now. So in terms of, you know, seeing how much damage I'm taking, it could be worth it actually. Instead of taking someone like my Smokey here, I could take someone like my Coco, because Coco's utility is also really nice. If I end up taking Kruger, we could also end up using the defense reduction. Yeah, it doesn't look like I'm taking even like even half health. Actually, Odie almost, not Odie, Smokey almost got one shot there. Maybe we don't need Rowan. Okay, so we ended up doing 6 million damage there. Maybe not the most amount of, that's top 5. Well, okay, well, of course, this competes with the entire server, which is why the damage numbers are there, but I was kind of unaware of how well everyone else is doing, but I don't know what to say. There aren't a lot of people, of course, that are doing the fight right now because it just, it just turned reset. I haven't even seen any of the whales that are typically in my guild, or not in my guild, but in my region from other guilds compete yet. But yeah, guys, in terms of the actual rewards, make sure to do it because, again, the faster you do this, the more rewards that your total server will receive from it. But like I mentioned, whether you do it early or late, it doesn't seem... Wait, is this within 23 minutes? Challenges. Okay, you can... Okay, challenge resets are reset every 3 days. Oh, every day you get 3 attempts. Okay, yes, that makes sense because, of course, this boss has 433,000 million. Okay, it has 433 billion HP. And the faster that you clear it, again, the more... you know what I mean? You don't want to get a kill beyond 15 days. But anyways, guys, that's the Lone Gaze Wolf boss. This is pretty much everything you need to know about the boss. Long story short, you could be a little bit, it could be a little bit daunting when it comes to fighting the boss and not running a healer. But in terms of actual value, make sure to have, again, at least one healer. Arguably a pseudo tank, someone that will not be getting hit the entire time. So if you want that to be Tamesia, if you want it to be something like Kruger, if you have her, or if you have him be a little bit tankier, or maybe someone, like a Shakir, by all means you could do that. However, make sure that you're doing enough damage because, again, this is a DPS race. This is not a tank race. You saw it yourself. I wasn't taking too much damage. The boss is level 90 though. So if you're taking a little bit more damage, maybe, again, instead of having someone like Rowan, take a composition that involves someone like Coco instead, because Coco provides damage reduction. And if you're running out of everything else, again, I apologize, I can't really show it. As you guys rightfully mentioned, some of the imprints can affect things. Take something like Coco and Faye. Both of these characters, of course, are very much in the free-to-play realm, and if you don't have access to them, well, maybe do some of the story more, and then as you get further and further, maybe you'll gain access to them, and be able to do the wolf boss. But anyways, guys, that's going to be it for this video. Hope you enjoyed. Thanks again for watching. Thank you again for everyone that has been supporting the AFK Journey content. I hope this has been helpful for you guys. I'll try to keep up with stuff, either news or guides or anything like that. And yeah, thanks again for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Good night.